The locker room door of the Egyptian national team stayed shut for 72 minutes after the final whistle in Atlanta. Inside, there was no shouting, only the heavy, suffocating silence of a group that realized they were playing a game they were never meant to win. Outside, the world was watching a different movie entirely. They saw Lionel Messi celebrating. They saw a last-minute Enzo Fernandez winner. They saw the defending champions escaping the brink. But as the dust settled on the 2026 World Cup's round of 16, a single, corrosive forward thought began to lodge itself in the collective skull of the global football community. The game is rigged. This isn't a conspiracy theory born in a dark corner of the internet. It is a spiraling crisis of institutional credibility that FIFA can no longer ignore. The fever broke during that match between Argentina and Egypt. For 60 minutes, Egypt was the better side, leading 2-0 and silencing a stadium that had come to see a coronation. Then, the machinery of modern officiating began to turn. Mostafa Zico put the ball in the net for 3-0, a goal that would have ended the Argentine era. Instead, we were treated to the now familiar theater of the VAR review. The goal was erased because of a foul by Marwan Adia on Lisandro Martinez that occurred so deep in the build-up it felt like ancient history. Minutes later, Hamdi Fathi was hauled down in the Argentine box. The whistle stayed silent. The VAR remained dormant. Argentina went down the other end and scored. The momentum didn't just shift, it was surgically reassigned. Egypt's coach, Hassan, didn't hold back in the post-match press conference. He spoke of an unjust defeat and pointedly suggested that marketing support was the invisible 12th man keeping Messi in the tournament. Captain Mohamed Salah was seen shaking his head, refusing to look at the officials. The Egyptian Football Association took it further, filing a formal complaint demanding that the refereeing crew be excluded from the rest of the competition. But the moment the story truly jumped the tracks was when the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, used a public transit event to declare that Egypt had been robbed. When a municipal bus announcement becomes a platform for questioning FIFA's integrity, the governing body has lost control of the narrative. Pierluigi Collina, FIFA's chief of referees, attempted to provide a technical shield. He explained the attacking possession phase protocol, arguing that officials have the right to look back at the entire sequence leading to a goal. He was technically correct. The rules allow for it. But rules are often used as a blunt instrument to justify outcomes that feel inherently wrong. Collina warned that questioning the integrity of officials could lead to threats against their families. It was a serious and necessary point. However, you only have to defend your integrity when the world has already decided it is gone. This is the reasonable pile of evidence. It starts with a lack of consistency that feels targeted. In the opening match against Algeria, Lionel Messi appeared to rake his studs down the back of Issa Mandy's leg. It was a textbook red card. The Polish referee, Szymon Marciniak, gave nothing. The VAR looked and decided to move on. Pundits like Nedim Onuoha and Alejandro Moreno were stunned, stating clearly that Messi should have been sent off. Instead, he stayed on the pitch to complete a hat-trick that tied the all-time World Cup scoring record. This is a pattern. Referees miss things. That is part of the game. But when the same player and the same team consistently benefit from the miss, it stops being human error. It becomes a policy. Look at the numbers. They don't have a rooting interest. Against Algeria, Argentina committed 13 fouls and received 0 yellow cards. Against Jordan, they again committed 13 fouls and walked away with a clean disciplinary record. Meanwhile, Jordan picked up 3 bookings for 7 fouls. Out of the 8 teams that reached the quarterfinals, Argentina had the second fewest bookings in the entire tournament, despite committing the 4th most fouls. They averaged 19.7 fouls per card. Contrast that with Thomas Tuchel's England, who average a booking every 6.8 fouls. One team plays under the laws of the game, the other seems to have a diplomatic immunity clause. Then there is the behavior of the man at the top. Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, sat for an interview with Argentine television after their narrow win over Cape Verde. He admitted on camera that he had suffered with them during the match. He quickly corrected himself, claiming he meant the neutrals who were rooting for a good game. The slip was telling. The president of a neutral governing body should not be suffering with any particular nation. He should be the silent architect of fairness. Instead, he appeared like a fan who had forgotten which scarf he was wearing. It was a bad look. In the world of high-stakes sports, perception is reality. The optics grew even darker when FIFA announced the officiating crew for France's quarterfinal against Morocco. Every single on-field official was from Argentina. Think about that. France is the primary threat to an Argentina repeat. France has reached the last two finals and possesses the firepower to end the Messi narrative. To place 5 Argentine officials in charge of a match involving their primary rival is either gross incompetence or a deliberate provocation. The announcement on X reached 32 million views within hours. People weren't looking for news, they were looking for proof of a fix. FIFA gave it to them on a silver platter. We must also look at the structure of the tournament itself. Long before a ball was kicked, the draw was criticized for its convenience. The defending champions were placed in a path that allowed them to avoid France, Spain, and England until the semi-finals. Seeding is a standard practice, yes, but when the world's powerhouses are funneled into a brutal knockout bracket while the favorites glide through a softer slope, the questions become louder. Supporters argue that you can only beat who is in front of you. That is true. But who is placed in front of you is a matter of administrative design. This shadow didn't appear overnight. It has been growing since Qatar in 2022. During that tournament, Argentina was awarded 5 penalties, the most ever given to a single team in World Cup history. While their fans argued each was earned, the sheer volume of calls in their favor created a foundation of skepticism. Louis van Gaal, the former Netherlands manager, eventually broke the silence. He claimed the 2022 tournament was premeditated. He suggested that Messi had to become the world champion. There is no hard evidence to support Van Gaal's claim, but his words landed on soil that had already been fertilized by years of strange decisions. The integrity crisis isn't limited to Argentina, which makes the situation even more volatile. FIFA's handling of Folarin Balogun and the United States team proved that rules are now negotiable for the powerful. Balogun received a straight red card against Bosnia for a challenge on Tarek Muharemovic. Under FIFA regulations, a red card carries an automatic one-match ban. There is no room for interpretation. Yet, FIFA announced the ban was suspended and put on probation. This allowed Balogun to face Belgium in the next round. The reason? A personal phone call from Donald Trump to Gianni Infantino asking for a review of the horrible decision. This was a total collapse of the rule of law. UEFA reacted with fury, stating that FIFA had crossed a red line. The Belgian Federation expressed astonishment, demanding to know what rule had even been applied to allow a suspension to be probated. For context, England's Jarell Quansah was handed a 2-match ban for a similar challenge, and England was told there was no path for appeal. 2 identical crimes, 2 different courts. One player has the President of the United States on speed dial, the other is just a footballer. When the rules become a menu rather than a mandate, the tournament loses its soul. The inconsistency is the poison. Fans can accept a mistake. They cannot accept a system where the outcome depends on the color of the jersey or the political weight of the federation. Former FIFA referee Jonas Eriksson, a veteran of 16 years, noted that consistency is the only thing that maintains the illusion of fairness. Without it, the game becomes a scripted performance. Keith Hackett was even more direct, accusing FIFA of allowing outside political interference to dictate on-field eligibility. This isn't just about bad refereeing. It's about a governing body that has forgotten how to say no to the people who pay the bills. This is all happening against the backdrop of the 48-team expansion. By increasing the number of matches and stretching the pool of elite officials, FIFA has created a vacuum. This vacuum is being filled by VAR, which was supposed to fix the game but has instead dissected it. Every goal is now followed by a 2-minute period of anxiety. We are looking for shoelaces that are offside by a millimeter. We are looking for fouls that happened 3 phases ago. The Wall Street Journal argued that this isn't fairness, it's forensics. It turns the stadium's eruption of joy into a physics homework assignment. This leads us to the historical basement. The reason the world is so ready to believe FIFA is protecting Argentina is that there is a genuine paper trail of suspicion. In 1978, Argentina hosted the World Cup under the shadow of Jorge Rafael Videla's military dictatorship. Needing to beat Peru by 4 goals to reach the final, they won 6-0. Decades later, a Peruvian senator, Gennaro Ledesma, testified that a deal had been struck between the two regimes to ensure Argentina's progression. It was a dark moment where football was used as a tool for state propaganda. Then there is 1990, the Holy Water Incident. During a match against Brazil, an Argentine physio handed a water bottle to the Brazilian player Branco. After drinking it, Branco complained of feeling dizzy and nauseous. Argentina won the game. Years later, the legendary coach Carlos Bilardo was asked about the bottle. He didn't deny it. He simply said, "I'm not saying it didn't happen. This is the DNA of the Argentine national team in the eyes of their rivals. It is a history of doing whatever is necessary to win, and a history of FIFA looking the other way. This brings us to the moment where the logic meets the marketing. FIFA is a business that relies on narrative. Lionel Messi is the greatest narrative in the history of the sport. His final World Cup, his chance to go back-to-back, his pursuit of every record. This is worth billions in broadcast rights and sponsorship. If Argentina exits in the round of 16 to Egypt, the 2026 World Cup loses its commercial engine. This wasn't a series of isolated mistakes. It was exactly how the system was designed to work. When you understand that FIFA's primary objective is the preservation of its most valuable assets, the officiating in Atlanta starts to make sense. The suspension of Balogun's red card starts to make sense. The all-Argentine crew for the French match starts to make sense. These aren't accidents. They are risk management strategies. The problem for FIFA is that they have been too clumsy. They have allowed the strings of the puppet show to become visible to the audience in the front row. The most heartbreaking part of this entire saga is what it does to the players. Argentina is a phenomenal football team. Messi, Lautaro Martinez, and Enzo Fernandez do not need help from a referee to beat Egypt or Jordan. They are the best in the world on their own merits. But by creating an environment where they appear to be protected, FIFA has robbed them of the purity of their achievements. If they lift the trophy in New York, a huge portion of the world will look at it and see an asterisk. They will see the ghost of the Egypt goal. They will see the ghost of the Balogun reprieve. Argentina might be the greatest team on the planet, but they are currently the victims of a system that loves them too much. They are being suffocated by the favoritism intended to save them. The tragedy of 2026 isn't that the tournament is fixed. It's that FIFA has made it impossible to prove that it isn't. When a governing body destroys its own credibility, it doesn't just hurt the losers, it invalidates the winners. It turns a sporting triumph into a corporate-mandated event. We are watching a controlled collapse of the sport's integrity. FIFA can release as many statements as they want. They can have Kalina explain the rules until he is blue in the face. It won't matter. The trust has been spent, and FIFA's bank account of goodwill is empty. You can't buy back the belief of a fan who saw a goal taken away for a foul that wasn't there. You can't buy back the belief of a player who sees his rival get a red card wiped away because of a phone call. The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be the greatest party in the history of the game. Instead, it feels like a courtroom drama where the judge has already been seen having dinner with the defense. The matches are still being played, and the goals are still being scored, but the magic is being replaced by a cold, clinical suspicion. We are no longer watching a sport. We are watching a billion-dollar asset being protected at all costs. The beautiful game is being replaced by a spreadsheet. As we move toward the final, the noise will only get louder. Every foul, every corner, and every VAR review will be viewed through the lens of this spiraling crisis. FIFA has built a house of cards, and they are terrified of the wind. They have hitched their wagon to a single star and a single story, and in doing so, they have left the rest of the world behind. The game belongs to everyone, or at least it used to. Now, it seems to belong to whoever has the right phone number. The lights will eventually go down on this tournament. A champion will be crowned, confetti will fall, and speeches will be made. But for millions of people, the memory of 2026 won't be a goal or a save. It will be the feeling of being cheated. It will be the image of a referee looking at a screen and finding a reason to change the world. It will be the silence of the Egyptian locker room. FIFA has succeeded in keeping their stars on the stage, but they have lost the audience. Nobody is saying the World Cup is fixed, but FIFA has built a tournament where that sentence no longer sounds like a fact. It sounds like a desperate plea for a reality that no longer exists. The sport is losing its grip on the one thing that makes it matter, the belief that anything can happen. If the ending is already written, why are we still watching the movie? The tragedy is that we may never know the truth. The game is over, and the house won. Trust is a ghost that never returns.